This video is brought to you by Keeps.com. Stay tuned to find out more.
Honestly, I thought if I did Pimp My Ride, they was gonna pump my videos.
Right.
Like they was gonna be like, oh, you know, like that's what I thought. But then it turned into like a whole thing.
It became bigger than you.
It became bigger than anything. Yeah.
They started pimping Xzibit.
Yeah. Basically, yeah.
For an MC that's as supremely talented as Xzibit, X's journey has been hard fought. From his very first major label appearance on the Alkaholiks Hit and Run, to scoring his first platinum record, the Detroit-born but LA-moulded MC had to withstand 5 years of relentless grind, but would later captivate the world. So, intertwined with late 90s West Coast hip-hop that the game infamously couldn't believe that he wasn't born in Cali, Xzibit's career can be categorized into two clear halves: before the worldwide fame and after. But where the more lucrative period of an artist's creative lifespan is normally regarded as their high point, X to the Z is a rare case where becoming a global star actually derailed his rap career and left him stranded in the position of one of the most underrated MCs of all time. Sporting a likable personality, an infectious laugh that's contrasted by the hostile flow and hard-edged lyricism that punctuated his finest material, Xzibit was a natural fit for a crossover star. Looking to follow in the footsteps of the Wills and the LLs, X hurled himself into opportunities to supplement his rapping career with TV spots and later movies. However, what we couldn't have known is that finding a gateway into pop culture would make his rap career an afterthought. Exploding onto the radar of underground tastemakers with the 1996 At the Speed of Life, X worked tirelessly to establish himself, and his early material displayed a world of promise. Ticking every box that was required for stardom in that era, 1998's 40 Days and 40 Nights demonstrated his prowess once again. Then, as 1998 gave way to 1999 and he launched Open Bar Entertainment, an independent that he believed would give him and his Liquid Crew family members their fair share in the marketplace, an artist that was renowned elevating MCs to the next level began to evaluate his skills. During his March 2019 appearance on Drink Champs, Xzibit recalled how a chance meeting with Snoop at LA's Unity nightclub would place him under West Coast icon Dr. Dre's microscope.
I was cool with Snoop, and called me and he was like, yo, you know, we working on this album, I want you to come get down. I think Dr. Dre gonna do the beat. Is it cool if he call you? I was like, yeah. So I ended up going to the studio. It took me about 15 minutes to write that. And then I laid it, and then I shook his hand, and I thanked him for the opportunity. I didn't ask for who I should send the invoice to. I didn't ask, you know, what the publishing is. Like a week later, you know, a couple weeks later, Snoop called me. He's like, hey, nephew, you know we using that as a single. Then I was like, my life is about to change.
So I want to take a quick break to thank our friends at Keeps.com. For anyone that's endured a battle with thinning or receding hair, you know that it can take an immense toll on your self-esteem. Even if it hasn't affected you as of yet, 2 out of 3 guys will experience some form of male pattern baldness by the time they're 35. As it turns out, the best way to prevent that is by getting ahead of the problem. Keeps excels at doing just that, retaining the hair that you have, and in some cases, promoting growth within the 100,000 men that have put their faith in the product. And in most cases, results will begin to surface within just 4 to 6 months. Years ago, taking action against hair loss will come with the added stigma of having to go to the doctor's office, get signed off on a prescription, and agonizingly wait in line for it. Courtesy of Keeps, all of these additional stresses have been banished, as this consistently 5-star rated product will be delivered right to your door every 3 months. So if you're ready to take action and prevent hair loss, go to keeps.com/HHM or click the link in the description to receive 50% off your first order. As is well documented, getting that sought-after call from Dre can provide the illusion of success with very little follow-through. In X's case, it proved to be the fairy tale that every aspiring MC hopes for. Although he was never officially under the Aftermath umbrella, X's third record, Restless, would go platinum and was executive produced by the NWA icon himself. in essence turning X, even just for a flickering moment, into the heir to the West Coast throne, just as Kendrick and Game would become in later years. Regarded as a genuine classic by fans, the album was actually inspired by the energy that he'd taken from touring alongside Dre, Snoop, Eminem, and Ice Cube on the historic Up in Smoke tour. If X were to appear alongside such a legendary assembly of artists today, then plenty of younger hip-hop heads rise would see it as a bizarre inclusion, yet back then, he harbored the same sort of star power, and he was just a few rungs below on the ladder towards immortality at that point. For X, the significance of appearing on that star-studded bill is crystal clear.
It was the highlight of my career. I've had some real, peaks, and that was definitely the highest. For an artist, for myself, I couldn't explain it any other way except, wow, this is it.
And when you watch back the footage of him standing shoulder to shoulder with M and Dre and delivering his monstrous verse from 2001's What's the Difference, it really felt like you were seeing the birth of a hip-hop superstar. As history has taught us, Restless would mark the only platinum-selling record in X's discography, with Man vs. Machine and the overly commercialized Weapons of Mass Destruction also performed well, but never reached the same heights. So, while it's clear that he topped out between 1999 and 2000, it didn't happen as you'd normally expect. Rather than audiences initially losing interest in hearing Xzibit turn out blistering verses, the trouble began when his rap career was surpassed as his main occupation. Initially pitched to him by executive producer Rick Hurwitz, Xzibit would take his natural charisma and make it into a marketable property for MTV when he became the host of Pimp My Ride. Between 2004 and 2007, X became one of the most recognizable faces on TV as he collected beat-up cars and then unveiled the remarkable transformation that West Coast customs could deliver. While speaking to King Crooked, X initially suggested that it was a lifeline and that the show arrived at a period where his career had an unexpected standstill.
When I knew what it was, and I know how it feels to be in front of those massive crowds and be in front of all these people and everybody's like singing your songs and doing all that stuff, I know how that felt. I knew how it felt when it didn't seem to be happening for me anymore. So then I was like, okay, cool. I still love to do music. I still love to be creative.
Right.
But I know that I have to take care of my people, my family, myself. So that's where, Pimp My Ride was created.
As he became the face of an international brand, Pimp My Ride took X out of those turbulent days and gave him a type of fame that he couldn't have comprehended before. But with that notoriety came an intense filming schedule. And as he attempted to juggle his commitments to the show with his position in hip-hop, Xzibit soon found out that excelling in one lane had caused a pileup in the other.
I felt like the show was taking away my credibility of what I had already done. I was used to having cats like us walking up to me like, hey man, you know what I'm saying? My you know what I'm saying? But and now I got soccer moms.
That's what I'm
coming up saying, give me a kiss.
You know what I'm saying?
So then it was kind of like a tough thing for me because it was taking so much time. I wasn't able to tour. I wasn't able to record albums.
Oh, damn, I definitely didn't know.
I was there filming.
Left to battle against what he saw as a damaged reputation, some believed that X had sold out and prioritized money at all costs. But when recounting his journey with the Breakfast Club, it turns out that the trade-off wasn't as fair as assumed.
I feel like the show was built on my back, on my credibility in hip-hop. And I feel as though that it became profitable for everyone else except me. When it was over, everybody couldn't believe that I didn't want to continue.
Lending his name value to the show, Xzibit should have had the world at his feet by the time that he released his 6th studio album, Full Circle, as part of a new deal with Cock Records. Unveiled 2 years into his spell as MTV's cheerful car renovator, the album should have had a whole host of anticipation around it, with Pop Matter's review of the album claiming that it had the capacity to make him a solid artist in his own right instead of just that guy from Pimp My Ride. But despite his face being plastered across millions of screens around the world, this didn't translate to interest in his musical output, selling 17,000 copies in its first week and debuting at number 50. Although he didn't know it then, this steep decline would lead to Full Circle being X's last release for 6 years until Napalm would arrive in 2012. Instead, X segued into movies, and in a testament to his commitment to the grind, he even spent a short period training in the theater before he even ventured to the big time in movies such as Gridiron Gang and The X-Files: I Wanna Believe. Still, this wouldn't be enough to halt his downslide, and by the turn of the decade, X had filed for bankruptcy. If the Alvin Joyner story had stopped there, Xzibit's career would be the perfect analogy to teach young MCs that exposure to the more trivial sides of the entertainment world must be taken in a moderation. Yet, to his credit, X has been every bit as relentless as he once was Restless and clawed his way back to the world stage. Amid an appearance on Dr. Dre's Compton and aligning with Cypress Hill's Be Real and LA rapper Demrick as his serial killers, X has begun to find his groove again within his original profession as he prepares his often alluded new project, Kingmaker. And considering that he was spotted in the studio with Dre in August, it could be as close as ever. In the same breath, the Cali MC made a fortune within the cannabis industry, cultivating what he described as a steady stream of mailbox money, and had a successful run as police informant, Shine, and Empire. But when it comes to Xzibit, the question isn't so much whether he's getting money, but if his legacy even passingly resembles what it could have been back when he was positioned as a new face of the West Coast. To his mind, he concedes that the naivety that defined his time with Pimp My Ride and the endeavors outside of hip-hop may have cost him, but he doesn't dwell on what it meant for his status in the genre.
You know, I could have spent years pointing fingers like, you did this to me, you did that to me. It makes you look poor in character. It was my learning curve.
Right.
I chose to do things the way I wanted to do it. Did people take advantage of that ignorance? Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. But now it's my job to take that as a lesson, learn from it. And now we off to the races.
Cursed by the stardom that he initially thought would have elevated his rap career, X could have been a legendary fall-off if he'd accepted his fate. But in recent years, the rapper, actor, and entrepreneur has taken back control of his narrative. And now, as he told HipHopDX at the Defiant One's premiere, he just wants others to know that he's at peace with where his career has taken him.
My experience in music has been like a dream, come true. It's something I couldn't have imagined, and the fact that it's still happening is just testament to the fact that, loyalty is royalty.
This has been a HipHopMadness original. Make sure to stay tuned and stay up to date with everything we got going on by hitting that subscribe button and notification bell. Oh, and don't forget to follow us on Instagram at HipHopMadness and join the movement.